you would see things on the news. I would see him and my father on the news, or you start reading things. And I still didn't take a while to grasp it, because to me they just was family. They just were family, but there was no free ride. You didn't wake up in the morning and there's $1,000 next to your bed. That's nonsense. You worked. You wanted anything, you had to work. We controlled the vending business, mostly all the South Jersey Shore, Philadelphia, 30-mile radius. We controlled all the cigarette machines, millions and millions. And we had our own counting room. You count the change, you count the bills, and then you had to bring it to the bank. Well, we had so much change, we used to have push carts, like grocery store push carts, full with money. And we ride right down the city street, $200,000 in this flatbed truck. I mean, I was like 16, delivering hundreds of thousands, and maybe my other cousin. But anybody that robbed that truck, my father said it the best. We don't need insurance. We have insurance. And I said, why? He said, the best insurance is fear. So we had the fear. I didn't like drinking when I was young, teenager. All the teens drink. I just didn't like it. I was always involved with weed because I loved smoking weed. I just believed in it, It never hurt anybody. Things that didn't hurt anybody, I think love hurts more people than weed. Love, it does good, it goes bad. Who gets mad and who doesn't laugh? Weed doesn't hurt anybody. I first started getting the marijuana out of Mexico. 1952 Chevy. With 52 Chevy, it was like a little tank. We drove all the way across country, made the connection in LA with some Mexicans, filled the trunk up, $20 a pound. Filled the trunk up, 300 pounds, you know what I mean? Came back, drove all the way back. That's how crazy I was. One part of my life that it's embedded in my head, and that is Woodstock. I was at Woodstock, 1969. Woodstock. I never forget a buddy of mine. It was a quiet summer day. We're in Wildwood. He said, come on, we'll go to that thing up. There's a festival, music festival. We go upstate New York. It's called Woodstock. You got any money? I said, yeah, I got money. So anyway, I didn't think twice. I think we're going to go see a concert, and we'll get home. He said, it's about a 4-hour drive, 4 or 5 hours. So we go. No, we don't know. It's one road in. There's only one road in from the highway. That's because the backup. They couldn't get out. Once you went up ahead, how was you getting back when cars kept coming? So it was considered a disaster area. But I made money. I made a lot of money there.
In Woodstock?
I made a lot of money.
How did you make money in Woodstock?
You got to understand, it was over 500,000 people in a small area. You were elbow to elbow. There was no water. There was nowhere to go to bed. I mean, it was bad. And I see some hoses in front of this farmer's property. He had 3 hoses and had lines of people. So I'm get a drink of water. It just so happens I'm standing next to the farmer. I never forget, he had bib overalls, he had a straw hat, and he's shaking his head. I said, what's the matter? He says, I don't have refrigeration. My eggs are going to go bad on me. You got to remember, it's August. I don't have no refrigeration. I can't get these eggs to market. I looked at him. I said, you nuts? I said, eggs to market? You got all those people starving. I said, I got this. I dug a hole. They gave me some fences, kept extra fences. I built a big fire. I said, go get that tractor and pull that water trough over this pit. So now I got a water trough boiling. And I just started dumping in the eggs. I sold 2 eggs for $0.25. And then I went and got the salt blocks, the big salt blocks the cows know. I broke them up so you can have a little salt with your egg. I swear, I had 3 lines, and all the wife was doing is just carrying the money into the barn. We had paper money, coin money, pills, pot. There was no backpacks back then, and I didn't have a suitcase. So I got sticking the money all in my pants, my shirt. I'm looking like money. I had $40,000. And plus I grabbed all the pot. So I sold all the weed, and it was a guy who had a car there. I says, hey, listen, man, I got to sleep. Can I sleep in your car? He says, yeah, go ahead. I went out. And the only thing I remember was getting woke up. They asked if I had ID. So I gave them my life. I went right back to sleep. And they woke me up again. I wasn't even in America. I was in Montreal, Canada. The reason they woke me up, I had to show ID to the border check. I said, well, I live in Philly.